Peppa and George were amazed when a giant ball rolled toward them. The ball was too big, but Peppa didn't give up and decided to push it. The rolling ball created funny circles, making Peppa laugh non-stop. George joined in, helping Peppa to control the giant ball together. When the ball hit a puddle, huge splashes sprayed everywhere, making them laugh even more. Finally, they realized that sometimes the greatest fun is just a giant ball and your own laughter. Peppa and George's walk today suddenly turned into an adventure with a giant balloon. The balloon flies easily, but does Peppa have enough strength to hold on? Don't worry, Peppa. George won't let you fly too far. Or at least, that's what she hopes. Go! And then, the balloon takes Peppa higher. No way to come back. Peppa realizes that a flight isn't always smooth, but at least it's fun. Finally, the balloon gently lands Peppa back on the ground, and George is ready for his next race with the balloon. Peppa and George decided to join a race. But not an ordinary race, it's a trash truck race. Trash trucks may not be fast, but Peppa and George can do anything when they're determined. The race gets more exciting as both trucks speed through obstacles. However, no race is without surprises, and Peppa couldn't escape this trap hole. No one wins when there are too many obstacles. But at least both had fun. The race ends, but Peppa and George realize that having fun is more important than anything else. Peppa and George couldn't believe their eyes when they saw a piece of bread flying through the air. They decided to chase the flying bread, but it was fast and looped around like a plane. It seemed like this piece of bread wasn't easy to catch, and it took a quick break on a tree branch. Surely this bread knew how to play tag, and Peppa seemed to be its favorite target. After an adventure, Peppa finally caught the flying bread and smiled happily. Finally, Peppa and George realized that sometimes the best adventures are when you can enjoy the fruits of your efforts. Peppa and George couldn't believe their eyes. A giant truck was parked right in their yard. This truck is not only big, but full of strange things inside. Peppa is curious and wants to try them all. George tried to push the giant wheel, but he might need a bit more strength to move it. No worries. Peppa decides to drive the giant truck, but it seems it's not as easy as she thought. Sometimes all it takes is a little push on the gas pedal to start an adventure, even if it's a bit out of control. Finally, the truck stops, and Peppa and George realize one thing. Sometimes, the fun starts with the most random things. Never thought that an afternoon walk would turn into a disco under the streetlight. This streetlight is like a DJ, and soon enough Peppa became the main dancer of the party. This might be the new dance craze in the park, and maybe only Peppa can do it like that. After non-stop dancing, Peppa decided to stop. But the streetlight didn't know what giving up meant. In the end, Peppa realized one thing. The streetlight in the park never stops partying. But Peppa could finally go home. The fun ended, but Peppa would never forget those offbeat dance moves in the park. Peppa and George are ready for the dance contest. But there's a secret. Not everyone knows how to dance like Peppa. Never doubt Peppa's creativity, even if it's a super spin move instead of a dance step. George isn't any less. It's just that he hasn't fully developed his shoestring dance potential yet.
Hello.
Sometimes, a graceful dance ends with a free fall, at least for the bunny. Whether winning or losing, what matters is everyone can laugh and dance happily. With Peppa, every day is a day to dance and laugh out loud. Peppa and George were watching the clouds, and today there was a special cloud, a cloud bus. Who needs a real bus when with just imagination, Peppa and George are already flying high? The clouds looked like strange creatures, and Peppa couldn't stop imagining they were dancing with her. Not just a cloud bus. Now there's a cloud elephant greeting them. The ride through these clouds was magical, and they met even more cloud friends. Although the journey was just in their imagination, Peppa and George had an unforgettable adventure. Start the day with a battle. Against the office door. That always says, card not recognized when you're in a rush. Welcome to the extreme game called Swipe In on Time, or you're fired. Barely sat down and already attacked by the ancient enemy. A system update during rush hour. In Office Land, a light desk tap could be mistaken for a full-blown rebellion. Each minute crawls like a century, yet vacations are always buried under 200 emails. End your workday with the ancient art of disappearing, right before the final meeting. Peppa Pig and the Dancing Leaf. Peppa finds a big leaf in the yard and picks it up. George approaches as the leaf gently shakes.
Whoa!
The leaf twirls around and dances across the yard. Imagine following it into a sparkling garden. Yahoo! The wind settles, and they pick up the leaf with a smile.
Guess the object.
Wow!
Our hands help us feel the world. Today, Peppa will use her hands to guess what the objects are. A round object with a slightly rough surface. What fruit is that? Peppa has a guess. And here is a very soft and fluffy little friend. It must be a teddy bear.
1, 2, 3.
Open your eyes! That's right, an orange and a teddy bear. Well done, Peppa. Try closing your eyes and guessing objects with Peppa. It's such a fun game. Goodbye, everyone. Peppa Pig and the Little Spoon. Whoa. On some happy day, Peppa finds a small spoon on the table. She looks into it and sees a funny reflection.
Wow!
George curiously looks into the spoon as well. Peppa taps the spoon lightly, making a small sound. George joins in, creating a simple rhythm. The little spoon turns into a fun and creative game for Peppa and George. Peppa Pig and the Shape-Shifting Box. A large cardboard box appears in the middle of the living room. For Peppa, even an ordinary box can be exciting. The box starts to move as if it's going for a walk. In Peppa's imagination, the box turns into a train. Moments later, it becomes a spaceship flying into space. Sometimes the simplest things can bring the biggest joy.
Peppa in the blue raincoat. It starts raining heavily outside. Peppa stands by the door and watches the rain. Mummy Pig comes out and gives Peppa a raincoat. Peppa walks over and puts on the raincoat.
2 hours later.
Peppa walks outside, wearing the blue raincoat. Peppa holds out her hand to catch the raindrops. Peppa sees a small puddle on the ground. Peppa jumps lightly into the puddle. George runs outside and sees Peppa jumping in the puddle. George looks at Peppa's blue raincoat. Peppa jumps again and water splashes around. The two siblings laugh happily in the light rain.
Yahoo!
Oh! Aha!
Peppa Pig and the Forest Walking Adventure. Peppa and George walked along the forest trail, Daddy and Mummy Pig following, with trees green on both sides. Peppa spotted a yellow butterfly flying. George pointed excitedly. Daddy Pig slid lightly on a wet branch. Peppa and George giggled. Mummy Pig picked some wild strawberries and gave them to Peppa and George, both laughing happily. The family stood on a hilltop, looking at the green forest, holding hands and laughing happily. Peppa Pig and the opening box. Peppa and George are playing in the living room. In the corner of the room, there is a small cardboard box with its lid slightly open. Daddy Pig is sitting on a chair, and Mummy Pig is sitting beside him. Peppa bends down to look inside the box. George is also curious and leans closer to the box. The box shakes slightly, making both of them jump in surprise. Peppa opens the box completely. Daddy Pig sees it from a distance, so he walks over and leans in to look inside. Inside are a few toys. Peppa holds the toy, and George jumps up excitedly. Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig smile. The empty box lies still on the floor. Bedroom party! Peppa and George are still fast asleep, but something mysterious has just appeared in their room. Wow! The moment they wake up, they spot a big box in the corner, and it looks full of secrets. Huh? George taps on the lid to see what's inside, while Peppa listens closely. But all they hear is silence. When the lid opens, colorful paper and balloons spill out, and the idea for a mini party begins. It turns out the real surprise wasn't in the box. It was in the moments they spent together. Wow! Today is sports day at Peppa's school. All the kids are so excited. The whistle blows. It's time to start. The kids line up neatly under the teacher's guidance. Their faces show excitement and anticipation. What will be the first event? They were both excitedly talking to each other about who ran faster and reached the finish line first. The race begins! The kids run with all their might, their feet flying across the ground. Who will reach the finish line first? One by one, all the others fall behind, leaving only Peppa and Rebecca Rabbit chasing each other at full speed. The cheers from the crowd get louder, and the tension rises. Molly Cat won! Wow, she's so fast! Today is a fun-filled swimming day for Peppa's family. Everyone is excited as they head to the pool for a day of splashing, swimming, and making unforgettable memories together. Everyone steps out from the changing rooms, Peppa and George in their colorful swimsuits. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig are also ready to relax and enjoy a day by the pool. Everyone is putting putting on their swimsuits, ready for a fun day at the pool. Daddy begins to blow up the float for his little one. Daddy is blowing up the float for his daughter. Now we can go into the water.
Hey! Hey!
Oh, so it turns out little brother is afraid of the water. It's a beautiful morning at Peppa's house. George Pig really loves to play outside. Mommy, Daddy, and Peppa have already gone out too. Hop in the car. Time to hit the road. George Pig loves going shopping with his family. Peppa and George love going shopping.
Hey! Hey!
First, we need to find the bananas. Today, golden sunlight bathes Peppa's garden. A gentle breeze and bird song welcome a truly wonderful morning. Peppa just can't sit still when the bright blue sky calls her outside. Meanwhile, George enjoys building his own little tower. But fun is always better when shared. Before long, the kite is dancing high above, swaying with every gust of wind. Peppa Family Rainy Day. Peppa is dashing around, giggling with her dinosaur in hand. Despite the rain outside, Peppa and George are happily playing indoors. George is happily playing with his toy airplane. Huh? With a little imagination, the living room turns into Princess Peppa's castle, guarded by Sir George the dinosaur. Something's missing. George, come here! Peppa calls out. Oh dear, poor George. That chair is almost bigger than him. All hail King Dinosaur, ruler of the castle. Playground. Today, Peppa and George are going to the playground with their family. Peppa and George love going to the playground with their family. George loves spending time on the slide, going up and down again and again. Peppa and George also love playing on the swings. George is enjoying the swing, while Mummy Pig gently pushes him higher and higher. While George enjoys the swing, Peppa and Daddy Pig head over to buy some ice cream. Today is a sunny day. The pig family decides to go on a picnic. Daddy Pig loads the car with lots of food and drinks. The car drives along the countryside road with a cool breeze and cheerful birds singing. When they arrive at a green meadow, everyone spreads out a picnic blanket and sets out sandwiches, fruit, and juice. Suddenly, a little yellow bee buzzes over. George feels a bit scared, but the bee just visits the flowers nearby. The family enjoys their delicious meal under the warm sunshine. They laugh together, making it a perfect day. Peppa Pig loves picnics, especially with her family.
Wow! Whoa! Peppa Pig and the Alarm Clock. One morning, Peppa and George notice an alarm clock on the table. Suddenly, the clock starts ringing loudly. Huh? Peppa gently touches the clock, and the ringing stops. But when George presses a button, the alarm rings again. In the end, the clock becomes a funny part of their morning. The magic carpet in the living room. Peppa and George are playing when suddenly the red rug begins to wiggle. Look, the rug is lifting up. A magic carpet right in the living room. The carpet whisks them out the window, soaring through the bright blue sky. After a long journey, the carpet brings them safely home. What a wonderful ride! No one knows the secret of this magic carpet, do they?
Peppa Pig and the Mountain of Bubbles. Today, Mummy Pig is washing the car, and Peppa and George discover lots of bubbles. Wow, look at that! A giant mountain of bubbles. Oh dear, Daddy Pig looks so funny as a bubble snowman. Playing with bubbles is fun, but playing together is the best fun of all.
Peppa Pig and the Lost Cloud.
Whoa!
It's a peaceful afternoon when Peppa and George notice a cloud floating unusually close to their backyard. Wherever they go, the cloud follows, as if it's afraid of getting lost. Peppa tries to touch the cloud. George tries too, but it always stays just out of reach. Soon, the cloud begins to fade away, leaving a few raindrops behind as a goodbye. Peppa and George learn that sometimes short visits can leave the longest-lasting joy.
بيبا بيج ومسابقة بناء الأبراج الممتعة. اليوم تشارك بيبا وأصدقاؤها في مسابقة لبناء أبراج باستخدام مكعبات خشبية. قام بيبا بوضع كل مكعب بعناية فوق الآخر وتضحك بخفة أثناء العمل. يحاول جورج بناء برج عال جداً. فجأة هبت نسمة خفيفة. بدأ برج جورج يهتز ثم انهار. تدحرجت المكعبات في كل مكان مما جعل الجميع يضحكون بصوت عال. رغم أن لا أحد فاز بأعلى برج إلا أن لكل واحد عمله الخاص. وكانت أفضل جائزة هي الفرح الذي شاركوه معا في هذا اليوم.
Peppa and the surprise gift. Daddy Pig brings home a very big present. Peppa and George are so excited to see what's inside this mysterious box. One, two, three. Open it. Ah, it's a lovely little play tent. Now, let's set it up for a camping adventure. How wonderful! Peppa and George now have a little house of their own. The indoor camping trip has begun. A very special gift from Daddy Pig. Have a wonderful camping night, Peppa and George. Yahoo! Peppa Pig and the hat that wouldn't stay still. Peppa loves her new hat. It looks perfect and fits just right. But the hat doesn't seem to agree with its position. Peppa carefully fixes the hat, and it immediately chooses a new spot. George finds this very funny. The hat looks like it's playing a game. Finally, the hat decides to rest for a while on the grass.
Peppa learns that sometimes being comfortable is better than wearing a perfect hat.
One lovely morning, Mummy Pig was tidying up the house. Daddy Pig came over with an idea. How about we go on a relaxing family trip?
Aha!
Peppa and George cheered with excitement.
2 hours later.
The whole family quickly got ready, hopped into the car, and set off. On the way, everyone was laughing and chatting happily. When they arrived, Peppa and George eagerly went rowing, while Mummy and Daddy Pig enjoyed a romantic date together. Peppa and the shared umbrella. It's a rainy morning, and Peppa brings her favorite pink umbrella. She sees Wendy Wolf getting wet under a tree. Peppa smiles and shares her umbrella with Wendy. They walk together, splashing puddles and singing happily. Madame Gazelle says, "Sharing is wonderful." Peppa and Wendy smile under the pink umbrella. Peppa Pig and the magical rain. It starts to rain, and Peppa and George watch the drops roll down the window like tiny mirrors. Mummy Pig brings out their raincoats and favorite muddy boots. To them, rainy days mean the best time to jump in puddles. They rush outside, splashing water everywhere, laughing as the puddles sparkle like mirrors on the ground. Suddenly, the sun peeks through the clouds, and a bright rainbow stretches across the sky.
Wow! Whoa!
Daddy Pig steps outside, looks up, and is amazed to see the rain has stopped and a beautiful rainbow has appeared. Peppa and George laugh joyfully, ending the magical afternoon.
Peppa and the surprise bubble party. Mummy Pig is doing the laundry. Oh dear, it looks like Mummy Pig has put a bit too much soap into the washing machine. Look, bubbles are overflowing everywhere. Peppa and George are so excited with this giant sea of soap. Meanwhile, Daddy Pig is busy reading his newspaper. The bubble clouds have completely surrounded him. Where has Daddy Pig gone? Daddy Pig just gave a big sneeze. What a surprising and fun bubble party for the whole family.
Wow! Hooray! Whoa!
Peppa and George brought the big building block set from the house to the yard, excited to start the game. Mommy Pig spread a large blanket on the grass, making it comfortable for Peppa and George to play with their Lego. Peppa started building a beautiful castle with the large blocks, while George carefully placed the smaller pieces around it. Daddy Pig joined in, trying to build a tall tower with the blocks, making the whole family laugh. Mummy Pig added special blocks to the castle, creating flags and flowers, and the whole family clapped and cheered. The family sat around the Lego castle, laughing happily and taking photos of their wonderful creation.
Ha! Wow!
Ha!
Ha!
Peppa and the Sparkling Magic Wand. Peppa walks into the room, looking around curiously. A small wand sparkles on the chair. Peppa walks closer and touches the wand. The wand glows brighter. Peppa opens her eyes wide in surprise. Peppa picks up the wand and waves it gently. Magical bubbles appear. Peppa smiles happily. George runs over and looks at the magical circle. Peppa waves the wand again. Glowing magic circles appear. Peppa and George jump happily. The magic light slowly fades, and they both smile happily. 2 sweet cakes. Peppa's sister and Peppa brother were playing happily in the park, running around under the clear blue sky. After a while of playing, both of them started to feel hungry. The 2 siblings decided to go back home to find something to eat. When they arrived, Peppa brother sat down to rest in the living room, while Peppa's sister went into the kitchen. There, she saw 2 delicious-looking cakes and quickly brought them back to share with her brother.
Peppa Pig and the rolling chair. A normal chair stands quietly in front of the house, or so it seems. As soon as Peppa sits down, the chair begins to move. A small push sends it rolling across the yard. The chair turns into a short and surprising ride. Yahoo! After a little journey, it finds the perfect place to stop. Sometimes, even a chair can bring a tiny adventure.
Wow!
Oh!
Peppa Pig and the Mysterious Sweet Box. Peppa and George spot a mysterious sweet box on the living room sofa. When Peppa opens it, the sweet smell spreads through the room. George grabs a treat and giggles happily, making Peppa laugh too. They try each sweet with sparkling excitement. Daddy Pig walks in, and Peppa and George happily run to share the tasty treats with him. The Dinosaur Tunnel. Today is a beautiful day. Peppa and George discover a mysterious little door underground. Where could it lead? Without hesitation, they step inside. The glowing tunnel spins around them, leading to a whole new world. And what a surprise! Beyond the tunnel is a legendary dinosaur world, full of life, color, and excitement. Peppa and George join the fun. They ride dinosaurs, soar over rainbows, and laugh all the way through their adventure. As the sun begins to set, the tunnel disappears. But the secret of the dinosaur tunnel will always be their magical memory.
Huh?
Peppa and George lay on the grass, watching fluffy white clouds drift across the sky.
Aha!
Hey! was a beautiful sunny morning, and Peppa and George were playing in the backyard. Suddenly, George pointed up at the sky, where the stars sparkled brightly. Peppa smiled and nodded in agreement. The two quickly got ready. They put on their helmets and stepped into the shiny spaceship. The rocket blasted off, soaring through the fluffy white clouds and into the vast universe. They floated around joyfully among the stars. Peppa stopped on a bright orange planet, while George lay back on a soft pink planet, smiling as he gazed at the endless galaxy.
Aha!
Peppa Pig and the Fishing Day Adventure. Peppa and George brought fishing rods to the lake, Daddy and Mummy Pig following, the lake sparkling in the sun. Peppa cast her line into the water. George watched the surface, eagerly waiting. Daddy Pig accidentally dropped his fishing rod into the lake. Peppa and George giggled. Peppa caught a flower floating on the water. George cheered, and the whole family laughed with delight. The family packed up. Peppa and George waved goodbye to the lake, promising to come back next time. Library. Today, Peppa and George are going to the bookstore. Come on, family, let's get in the car. Peppa and George really love going to the bookstore. There are so many books to choose from. Peppa picks a princess book. And George chooses a dinosaur book.